Let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't here to make.
Hello and welcome to the episode of Opinions of the Uninformed with me, Firefly Zero, otherwise known as Jay, with TJ, the proper TJ, and of course with Rich, otherwise known as Live Convoy. So guys, we've got a bit of a show today. Obviously, we're going to do our usual and talk about The Last of Us newest episode, which is episode 3. I do believe it's called Long Time. So we'll be talking about that first, and then hopefully we'll move on to some other things as we go through. So, starting off, obviously, A Long Time was released last Sunday night. I think it was on HBO Max and Sky Atlantic over here in the UK. It was, for me, the biggest departure, obviously, from the video game itself. And a lot of other people are talking about this, but we'll move into that. There's a lot of controversy around this episode. And there has definitely been a lot of salty people online. A lot of salty people on. I hear recently it got review bombed with ones all across. I think it was Metacritic and IMDb, because people are fucking idiots. Now, moving from my initial feelings, let's talk about the episode, guys. What did you think?
Right. Fucking hell. How much have we all got to eat a dose of humble pie when last week we're all like, rah, the one departure from the source material, and we're all bitching about it. Like, yeah, okay, it was a huge departure. Oh no, there was some gay people in a love story. Oh dear me.
Terror.
Fuck off. It was quite confidently, by the end of January, I'm very comfortable in stating that I don't think I will watch a better hour of television this year. Like, it was absolutely phenomenal. The relationship was just such an elegant microcosm of Joel and Ellie's relationship, and how it's sort of the line, I was never scared until you got here, is just, it's everything. It's all. I could honestly go for about an hour, but I know TJ is going to have some things to say. So, Bam, what are you saying?
I just wanted to pick up just quickly on what you just said there, Rich, about that line. What I've realised with this series and the episodes that we've watched, every episode has got that one line which you think is like that. It's the perfect line which sums up everything in that moment.
Yeah.
Like we had it last week with the drop the bombs.
Yeah.
It was that jaw-dropping moment, and then we had it again this week. Yeah, and it just seems like every week they have that one moment where you're just like, you just have to sit back and go, shit. Like, it really, like, and I feel that it's doing such a good job of like drawing on every emotion at different times. This isn't what we expected. We turned around and said last week that we're expecting Joel and Ellie for 15-20 minutes of the episode. They're going to be by themselves. We're going to see them as they make their way to Frank and Bill's, and obviously those of you who have played the game will understand, like, Bill's demeanor and psyche, and we got something that was so far departed from what I think we could have ever imagined and what anyone could have ever imagined.
Yes.
But it was phenomenal. Like, I sat there watching it and I was like, okay, where's this leading off to? And then it just engrossed me more and more as it went on, to the point where you're like, I know they completely changed the story.
Yeah.
It's better.
Oh, they made it better.
Yeah, it's better.
They changed it, as in, don't forget, everybody, Frank and Bill was a thing. It was something that existed.
Oh no, I didn't mean from that. I meant the outcome of Frank and Bill is what I meant.
That's what I mean. But so they changed something, but I think they just enhanced it, because in the game, like, you have to have a bit more interaction, because you got long periods of time where it's just Joel and Ellie trying to make their way through. Whereas this, there was very little Joel and Ellie. Very, very little in the whole episode. We watched an absolutely interesting story of a complete introvert, intelligent man, then completely break down after meeting one other person and changing his entire life. And I thought such brilliance.
Two lonely people finding happiness in each other in the bleakest of situations. You know, I love the idea of, again, so many cool little nods from the fact that Joel and Ellie end up in the close from the game. You know, they got them from there. I love the last shot of the window, which was the title screen in The Last of Us. I love the idea of the window was very much like a symbol of peace. If you will. There was just so many cool little nods, cool little touches. And the whole Jay, I'll tell you, like I'm quite a wobbly person for emotional stuff, and the last sort of, you know, should we say 15-20 minutes right from there, this is my last day, was not a fun time to be me. No. Like, my mom actually went to the news I was telling you about earlier, TJ. My mom went to watch it that night, and I said, just don't. Just don't watch it this week, because, like, you will not be in a good way for the rest of the week. This is a really emotionally damaging episode, man. But yeah, just fucking phenomenal. So unexpected, so out of nowhere. And now I'm just like, well, no, a week ago I was incredibly hesitant on what additions you were going to bring to the table and how you were going to fuck with something that I'd say that was perfection. And now I can't wait to see what else you add to it and how you flesh out that world and that universe.
Exactly.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because, like you said, we had that conversation last week. How the episode ended. You know, they changed it from being the Fedra agents to the infected, and how the Tess just stood there when, you know, the infected person come to her, and that like lingering weird kiss thing that happened, you know, in the strike. And we were like, it's just like, it just didn't really make sense. It didn't fit. It kind of felt alien. But you have noticed as well, thinking back, like both the first and second episode did have those moments like of storytelling before the game, set before the game, that we never saw, like the TV interview. Well, but I mean, like in the first episode, the TV interview, it was like you realise just
phenomenal, by the way.
When everyone's just, like I say, taking the piss out of the gentleman, you know, the guy who's saying, "Oh, we need to be worried about funguses and stuff," and then by the end of it, everyone's like, "Oh shit! Oh my god! And then the exact same thing again. And then the exact same thing in India when they take the doctor to see the first, you know, the first people that have contracted it, and that just, like I say, that was just absolutely amazing. And I think we kind of lost sight of that they have shown the ability to go off script and make small snippets of great storytelling. And now what they've just done is they've just blown that all out of the water and said, oh yeah, we can make a whole episode of brilliant, like captivating, imaginative, original, like thought-provoking story that isn't in the game.
Yeah, it was a character, and it's in the craziest of circumstances. You know, it was just extraordinarily.
So I've got to say that the way that they've just fleshed out someone that in the game you'd probably go as it seems important to Joel in the whole grand scheme of things, but not really going to be in my mind in the game. But they took this side little character and made just one little story absolutely stand out. So what are they going to do with, I mean, there are so many other characters that have yet to come in the game. Some of them good, some of them bad.
Yeah.
So
let's not, some horrible people to come.
Yes. Well, let's not get it twisted. In the game, he's a cranky bastard who you just meet for 10 minutes. Yeah. You know, and Frank, we don't even meet Frank.
No.
Frank dies. He's dead.
He's hanging from the rafters, you know, and we find out that it looks like Frank's going to do a runner, and he's actually running out on Bill.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because there's a note, isn't there? And it sounds like because everyone's like, well, they weren't fucking going in the game, and I'm like, well, you don't actually know that because it was never said. And the note Frank actually writes, like, I don't know whether this is hindsight looking at it. You read it now, you Google it and read it, and there is like it's a very emotion sort of driven letter. So. Not disputing it, you know.
One thing I do like is that in the game they portray him as wearing these wildly elaborate Hawaiian shirts, like wildly elaborate outfits, a bit like what Jay's wearing now, a pizza hoodie.
Like my pizza hoodie.
They kept the Hawaiian shirts to a minimum in the TV series.
Like Nick Offerman, good lord, can we talk about what a performance, man?
Guy is awesome.
Who knew the guy had it in him? I knew he was good. I didn't know he was that fucking good. Like, wow.
He was almost sort of a typecast sort of character, Nick Ottoman, from what he'd done previously, because he was that grouchy old man.
Well, yeah, in Parks and Recs, it is very much that dry and, you know.
I am man, hear me roar, rah.
Yeah. And then this, like, to say me, because he comes across immediately as grouchy old man. And then you just watch his walls get completely broken down by this stranger and just open him up into this whole. I mean, by the end, when you see them sat at that dinner table at the end, if you imagine that first grumpy old man to that person there doing what he's about to do, it's just, this is a prepper. This is someone who wants to survive. A prepper.
He's like, it's like he's an onion. The layers the character has, because like you say that, like his relationship, how it flourishes with Frank and everything, but then he's still got that like prepper, like insecure, worried about everything kind of mentality about him. The first time he meets Joel and Tess and how guarded he is, and Frank's more that like carefree kind of spirit that he's like, no, let's welcome them in, let's bring people in, I want to turn this into a community. And then but Bill is still very much the no, we're safe, I can keep us safe, that's all I care about.
Everybody else, I to sort of expand what Jay said, massive spoilers for the episode here and whatnot, but I love the fact that...
We are a week out. That's what I like to think, is we're a week out. Piss off, spoilers.
Fuck you. I love the fact that, like, a survivalist realised that what's the point in sort of surviving any further when you've already had everything that you want. Magical, absolutely magical storytelling. Some of the other exposition I found was really fucking cool as well. Like, I love the sort of confirmation at the start, of we think it was like the flour. You see that weird look on Joel's face when he says pancake mix and realises, thank God we actually didn't have pancake mix in the house that fucking morning. The fact that you can see the bond with Ellie starting to form when he gets when he doesn't want her to see the mass grave. The car scene was just wonderful. I love the seatbelt on and she's just like, huh? And the dawning realization that it's like, well, she doesn't know what a seatbelt is. Like, the greatest asset to that show is Pedro Pascal's eyes, man. I'm telling you, the guy is just unreal.
Just to give them an Oscar, just his eyes.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Like, it's knocked it. Yeah,
just keep them eyes away from the mountain. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Just we were discussing with a few people last night that really didn't like it, and it basically boiled down to the guy, and it's just like, it's really sad that you can't look past that as a story.
I wonder if it's because it's such a long departure since people played the game that they forget, but it's not like this is a new revelation. It's not like, Druckerman just turned around and went, I'm just going to throw a spanner in the works and I'll make him gay.
That's it.
They were gay. They were gay.
Yeah,
they were gay in the game.
Or even if they weren't, they were two people at the fucking end of the world. In one way or another, they loved each other. If they were surviving together.
I mean, you've got like there's a scene in the car in the game, like where Ellie's got, I stole one of his magazines, and she opens it up, and it's a gay magazine, and she opens it up and goes, wow, how does this guy walk around with this thing? Like, how big is it? And it's just like, why are these pages stuck together? And it's just like,
that's the soundbite. I'm sounding that.
But it's quite like it doesn't skirt. Well, it kind of does skirt around it in the game, but it skirts it around it in a way that it makes it kind of obvious. You know, that in the church, there's where they sleep. There's one single mattress.
Yes.
Okay. Now, one of them could sleep on the floor. Yes, possibly. But you know, it kind of. I don't see. I think. I don't know. You'd like to think in 2023 that seeing a gay couple on screen wouldn't really bother you that much. It's just be like, you know, you can look past the fact that it's two men and you can just look at how amazing the actual connection and the love between them was. But
I don't think they can, TJ. I just don't think they can.
Yeah, it's backwards in this day and age. I said something in mine and Jay's discussion a couple of weeks ago about the new Gundam series, similar sort of thing. It's got the double whammy of A, for the first time ever, it's got a female pilot in a Gundam. Oh my god, no. And B, it is admittedly gay as hell, but all the characters are really sweet. You're kind of shipping everybody together anyway. So what's the problem, man? Just like, it's a cool story, and it's just such a fucking shame you're going to miss the poignant point these works of art are trying to tell because of just surface level reasons. Do you know?
People are just
it's ridiculous.
The problem is that people can't seem to have grown up. They've had one thing inflicted on them a long time, and now they won't get past it. And I don't know whether they ever will, because at this point in this era, in this year, 2023, we've gone through like the growing of transsexuals and non-binary, binary, gay, straight, LGBTQAF. I don't know. I'm going to be straight with you, and I don't know all the acronym. But
I'm going to be straight with you, funny. Sorry.
Punning. So all I can't understand about the world is, I get that like you're stuck in your ways, but surely you can see the world is changing and go, am I the fucking knob here? You know, am I the one still stuck in the past?
Art imitate life. Shouldn't there be, like, there was a lot of hoo-ha about Sandman and being there, you know, like being more people of colour and being more gay relationships, and it's like, yeah, but Sandman was very hardly set in the 80s. This one is set in 2023, so, and that is the society we live in, so surely shouldn't it like mirror the society we live in? We're getting wildly off the topic of The Last of Us, and there's still too much to talk about.
I think ultimately, just to put a pin, just to finalise that, it comes down to whoever the creative lead is, and in this case, and in Sandman, the creative lead was the person who originally wrote it. So I give them all the blessing in the world to change their own copyrighted materials. They would have changed the story and it enhanced it like it did.
I just can't get past the fact that, like, it's such a small part of the story that they're both men. Like, it doesn't, like, the way it's told, their affection for each other, like I say, the way it unfolds, it doesn't matter that they're two men. No. It wouldn't matter if it was a male and female, wouldn't matter if it was two females. It goes past that point. The storytelling goes past the sexuality of these characters. And that's
a love story. Like, it's just a love story. That's
where, for me, it's like, I didn't look at this as like, oh, they're two gay men. No. I just looked at them as two people in this dire situation who truly loved each other, supported each other through thick and thin, who like had their trials and tribulations, who grew up, who like their love grew, they're in the most awkward of circumstances. You know, when the raiders come in, you know, and Bill gets shot, and you think like, that's a stomach wound that we like, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, you know, he's fully expecting himself to die. Like, he's like, you know, tell Joel this and this, you know. And then you see how, like, obviously it bypasses quite a lot of Frank's. Obviously, I imagine he's got cancer. Is what I'm going with. Is what he, you know, they don't say it, but it's hinted towards. And they like how that must have been as well, because he can't get any treatment. Nope. You know, there's no real diagnosis. He's just, you know, so.
Yeah, you just have to
the feelings that you get, you know, and you kind of empathise everything that they've gone through. Yeah. Like I say, the fact that it's two men it doesn't matter. Like, just the appreciation for two people and what they've gone through and their feelings for each other is what matters. And I
mean, your heart was
breaking. Something it actually really reminds me of, which is another complete masterpiece in storytelling, is that whole episode. They basically took the first 5 minutes of Pixar's Up.
Yes,
and they turned that into an episode.
Yeah, I was going to say
because that was like something as equally poignant as and beautiful, and elicited a very similar set of emotions. I was a fucking mess by the end of it.
Just as an interruption, fuck you up for doing that. Entering into a fucking Disney cinema film and then start bawling within 5 minutes, you wank stains.
Is the film really happy, cheery, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what the fuck? I was not prepared. Like, I was a mess at the beginning, the middle, and the end of that film. It fucking destroyed me, man.
Why have you broken me so badly? Now you want me to believe this old man story about him and a scout going up in an air balloon made of balloons. I can't see because of the tears.
I can't actually watch Up because the old man in Up is the absolute spitting image. I'll have to show you a picture, Jay, of my granddad. He's the spitting image. The glasses, the hair, like just everything, mannerisms and that. He is the spitting image. So I can't watch it.
If you put that scout outfit on TV...
No, shut up. No.
I am a dog.
No.
My name is Doug. Kevin was the best.
Squirrel, yes. Squirrel.
The Cone of Shame. Oh, such a good film. Yeah,
I'm going to get that photo and then I'm going to superimpose TJ's head onto that kid.
No, we're not.
When we're talking about Disney like devastation, then Toy Story 3 is the worst a film has ever got me in my life, because, like, Jay, I'll tell you, my sister is like my best friend in all my world. She's like my other half. You know, I love her to pieces. She's amazing. And the first film I ever took her to see as a kid was the original Toy Story. And then I took her to see Toy Story 3 the day before she moved to go away to university. And, like, that last scene where Andy's playing with the toys for one last time before he leaves them. Like, I felt like I was the toys and she was Andy and about to leave me behind. Good Lord, I had to wait till everybody left the cinema, man. It was not a fun time.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
You know, madness. Right, anyway.
Isn't it amazing, just quickly, isn't it amazing how an animated film can draw that kind of emotion out of you?
I haven't seen Inside Out because I've heard it's just going to break me, and I'm just like, no.
Inside Out it depresses the hell out of me.
Yeah, good Lord. There's some rough shit in Inside Out, man. Amazing, though. Amazing. Really good character study, actually. Really good way. Something I saw, which I thought was really cool, there were certain schools that were showing that to children to help try and break down, like, you know, emotions and figure out, like, what their driving emotion is, because it's quite true. There's quite a lot of, like, really mad stuff in that film. Like, you can tell people's sort of mental health by what their leading emotion is. Do you know? It's like it's quite. There's something quite sinister about, like, the dad in the film. His leading emotion's anger, and the woman's is sadness. It's just like, that's quite grim when you think about it. You know,
it's very grim, mate. Very grim. But I mean, I'm not getting off track here. But yes, that's why I won't watch it. It's just there's too much.
Yeah.
Like, Disney films seem to elicit too much emotion in me anyway. So
there's
leave them alone.
Something about Pixar. They're just like such masters of their craft when it comes to storytelling. That I get thoroughly swept up in the world, man. And it just always ends up ruining me somewhere, man.
I can totally see this. Talking about people ruining things, have you seen the other controversy around this episode 3, that the location was the wrong place because they filmed in Canada and it was meant to be 10 miles, east of Boston or something, and the topography didn't work out? Let me just say something. It's a fucking TV show. It's just being filmed. Fuck off.
Honestly...
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, all that comes to my mind is that fucking that scene in The Simpsons where Homer plays Poochie in fucking Itchy and Scratchy.
Yes.
And he goes to a con, and this fucking nerd in a con, stands up, and he's just like, meh, in episode 37C, he plays his ribs like a xylophone, and he hits the same note twice, but produces two clearly different sounds, explain. And Homer's just like, have you ever been outside? Or something like that. It's just like, absolutely nails it. It's just like, come on, man. Don't fuck off, really?
Exactly.
Like, really?
Get something real to complain about. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, come on. You just any excuse to have a fucking wine, man. Good lord.
Talking. So the other thing I would say about it, absolutely amazing from the set designer again this week, and I thought the makeup on Frank when he was in his stage 4 of cancer. He looked absolutely devastating. I don't know if anyone's ever seen anyone in a horrible state of cancer.
It's fucking... honestly, the second I saw him, my heart just sank.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man.
That's what I'm saying. It was so well done
Yeah.
that you knew. You looked at him and went, oh, no, that ain't good. That's not good at all. And don't get me wrong, Bill had aged, but, like, you looked at Frank and you was like, oh, no, something bad is gone on here. And then to watch him when he talks about his final requests, the fact that they get married, I thought was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then that final meal, and you just think, well, what better? If we'd have kept to the original, and we'd have found out that Bill pulls his gas mask up, threatens us because he can't remember, then works out who Joel is, and then how do you have them find Frank's dead body? Because you have to do it. Because otherwise the episode's going to be all of 10 minutes long. Joel and Ali show up. They go, oh, all right, Bill. How you doing? Yep. Can we borrow your car?
And also, it's very much the whole section with Bill in the game it's like run from point A to point B, fight some infected, run from point B to point C, fight some infected, then go to the school, which would be point D. We first meet a bloater, we'll fight him, then let's move on to blah blah blah, and it's just like I don't think it translates to television as well.
I agree.
I mean, like what I'm impressed about what they've done in the first 3 episodes is infected are there. There's also other threats, as in other scavengers, but they're doing a story where they're going like, look, let's just tell the story of this world, opposed to trying to keep going like, let's keep the action up. We've got to throw some infected into this scene, and then they're going to kill all these people, because it's doing it cleverly, which is what the game did itself. The game cleverly told this great story as you moved through a world, and so what they're doing in the TV show, I think, is great. I think that's the way. If you're going to do this video game adaptation thing, and everyone's stocking up on video game adaptations now.
Yeah.
One thing that like I thought about was how well they done this and how much emotion like this brought in. I was like,
oh yeah, there's going to be some
when we meet
tears.
Henry and Sam.
Yeah. Oh.
How bad is that going to
anyone's going to
be?
be ready for Henry and Sam.
Like, we're like, oh no. Like, and I'm just like, this is gonna get like gut wrenching very quickly,
a very
multiple times.
Very poignant scene of Joel getting injured and how they're going to deal with that.
Yes, yeah,
because that's going to be a thing as well.
It's literally
comes out of that.
Yeah, it's yeah.
So,
we'll have to.
I mean, again,
I wait with bated breath. Yeah.
I'm very.
I was going to say some of the subtle storytelling in this episode was magnificent, like the fact that his house was really unkept and dirty to start with, but it gradually got more tidy and well decorated and nice as time went on. I love the fact that the last meal was the same as the first meal.
Yeah.
You know, I looked up the wine actually, and it's made with strawberries. You know what I mean? And it's just like
the whole theme of the strawberries was great. That's
that's
a good scene.
Just sensational, just absolute fucking sensational. I'm at the point where 3 episodes in, this is the first. We've skirted around it, but this is the first truly great video game adaptation. At this point, I'm comfortable enough to state that I really can't see them fucking it up at this stage.
They have got to drive this off a cliff then launch a nuke on top of it, and do God knows what else to ruin it from here.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think it's possible.
No.
To ruin it from here.
You'd have to fucking put the work in.
Yeah,
you would have to put the work in to ruin it now. You would have.
Yeah, you think of a show like I struggle with the exception of something like Game of Thrones to struggle a show that had like a first 3 episodes like that. That's just like holy shit, man. That's like beyond strong. You are destroying it.
Yes.
But maybe Westworld.
I think we said this in I think it was episode 1 about how like going off script and not being able to tell. Being too quick to get the story over and done with was what the issue was in series 8 of Game of Thrones. It was like, okay, we don't have great source material to follow, or we don't have a full load of, but let's just get it done as quickly as we can, and in one episode you get the whole wildly the Night King and everything done. Whereas I feel like this has got perfect pacing, even with the stuff that is off script. That is this kind of, to me, it feels like that this has been Neil Druckmann's had this for a long time. He's been planning this. He's had this written down. He's had the script. He's had everything for a long time. He's known if this ever gets made into a TV show, this is how I'm going to do it. Right, and it kind of just it doesn't feel like it's hashed together really quickly. This is really well thought out. This is really well staged and planned.
But does this harken to the showrunner, which is the person who created Chernobyl? Now, I never watched Chernobyl. But obviously we are talking
people
very
have said amazing it was.
Similar, almost post-apocalyptic sort of devastation. Now, obviously, I've never watched it, but I mean, did either of you ever watch Chernobyl?
I didn't know.
I have. Chernobyl's got one of my least favourite scenes of all time in anything ever, and it's just such a simple. It's not even any of what people had classed as the bad scenes. It's when shit starts going wrong and all this radioactive waste's flowing everywhere, and it's all black snow, and there's just all these kids running around and catching it in their mouths and stuff, and it's just man. And from there on, I was just I don't think I'm going to enjoy this show. It's rough, man. Yeah, it's good.
We said that. But we tying it back in. We said that as well with Sarah. What happened right at the start and how well, we all knew what it was like from the game, but they captured that so well. Really so, the reaction that it gave me, they're dealing with the stuff that people don't touch, that don't put in their shows, the things that are maybe seen as you can't show that because no one wants to watch something where a child's going to die. But they do it in such a way that it's it grabs you, it elicits the exact right response and emotion.
They absolutely have captured that first episode. Captured exactly what hooked you into the game when you played it. You were like, oh my god, have I just watched an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 13, whatever she was, die within 5 minutes of playing this game? What is the rest of this game going to be?
Yeah, 3rd, 4th time, and you ruin me again. Ruin me again,
I mean, I'll be honest, it's almost made me want to buy that remake of The Last of Us Part 1. Just to see the graphics. Almost £70 is too much, though. So I'll wait for a second.
I mean, I already have it. I'm not. I've got it on the PlayStation, so I'm not I'm not rushing out to spend my £70.
Graphics are better. I'm not denying it. I'm sure it plays better, but you're asking for a big
but I also wonder, is it gonna are you gonna play it and just be I don't know. Maybe they tinkered with it a little bit too much. Maybe the whole.
It's so story driven. I don't know. I played it through again.
That much.
I played it through again, and I felt I've already got what I kind of I didn't come to the. I don't enjoy The Last of Us. This sounds so fucking cynical and bitter, and I'm not saying it's not a good game, but I don't enjoy The Last of Us for the gameplay. I enjoy The Last of Us for the story, and I've already experienced that. I've got what I need. I've taken what I needed from it.
Yes.
Like, I'd always rather play something new and experience a new story than retread an old one, regardless of the fresh lick of paint, unless it has the words From Software next to the developer.
Which
In
who
which
gives a
case,
fuck
I
about
will
the story?
inject it
That's
into
lore
my
anyway.
veins and play all of them. Yeah, and buy a console to play them because that's what we do.
Yeah, it is. It is what we do for Dark Souls and Demon Souls and all the rest of the Souls.
Bloodborne and everything. Yeah,
Elden Ring,
crap
new
fiend.
Ring
Fucking
series.
crap fiends, man.
Talking about Elden Ring, have you seen they're making it into an anime and it's a comedy?
It's a comedy, did you just
they're going to
say?
make it into a comic and it's going to be a comedy, apparently. I read today. Only briefly, before anyone starts quoting me on it. I am in.
I had not, and do you know what? I could kind of see that in a way, like all the deaths.
Yeah.
Do you know, playing them off sort
of
of
Groundhog Day sort of thing.
Yeah, as a bit jokes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have it as like an almost like an isekai thing. I feel like you'd have to flip between the two. You'd have to be like really fucking almost berserk levels of savage, and then just absolutely out there ridiculous.
I think so. Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. See if we can find a couple.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
Definitely be interested in discussing that at some point, and we'll pass it around the group so we can all have a read. So, any other feelings on Last of Us that you want to close out on before we move on to another subject?
Not for me. The only thing I did I didn't actually I've steered clear of a lot of the reviews and other bits and pieces. I don't tend to read them and watch them anyway because I make my own informed opinions, and I'm not. It's the same reason I don't really watch like trailers leading up to films or like people's reviews of films just before they've come out, because I want to go in there, and like I say, form my own opinions. And I know how I feel about it. I don't care how like some critic is thinking. But you said critics were giving it 1 out of 10 or something.
I don't think it was critics. It wasn't critics. It was fans. User reviews. Were
user reviews. Oh, okay. I thought you said it was critics review.
No.
They do it all the time for loads of petty reasons. Like there was last year because like the second highest rated TV show on IMDb of all time is overall is Breaking Bad. Weirdly, the first one is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but the second one is Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad has the most highest rated episode of anything ever of all time. And then there was an episode of Attack on Titan that came out that absolutely it was one of the best episodes of anything ever released. And it had a perfect rating on there. And honestly, you'd see the Reddit, loads of Breaking Bad fanboys were just started review bombing it just to bring it down. And it's that is so petty and pathetic. Yeah. Can you see it with video games and stuff like that? Like Hogwarts, guarantee Hogwarts Legacy will be review bombed the second it gets launched.
That's a whole different argument, though.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day. That is, we'll get to that another day.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that after the heat of that game has died down a little bit.
See how that all plays out,
because that will. I'll be honest, if I was to just give a fizzling thought on that, I think that will be high in the news until the end of the week or the end of the weekend, and then it will probably just fizzle out to turn out that it was a vocal minority being stupid about. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it at all. I'm just going to back away from it completely, because I just want to play the game, if I'm honest. And I don't agree with an aging writer's opinion on the world, which we've already discussed in this episode, about how people don't seem to be able to move with the times. And that's sort of my feeling on it. It's sorry to hear it for the game, because the game will inevitably suffer for it, and I don't know how you erase.
The game's going to sell gangbusters. I think the game's going to sell fucking outrageous amounts.
It will,
whether it's any good or not, because no one's shut the fuck up about it, for good or ill. Like, I'm not putting a comment out there because fucking hell, the minefields, you know what I mean? But yeah, the game will sell absolute bananas anytime, particularly in gaming boycotts are organised. Like I've spoke about this to you before. Like Sword and Shield, when it came out for the Switch, the Pokemon community was in uproar about a lot of justifiably issues and problems with the game. And concerns, and they all organised this massive boycott, and within like a week it was the second highest selling game in the fucking franchise. You know, so it is going to sell absolute bananas, whether people like it or not.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it's going to sell. It's definitely going to sell. It's one of the. Isn't it up on the Steam wish list as like second highest or something?
I don't want to get too much into the controversy about it, but the one thing I will say is there's always the adage, like, no press is bad press, right? And to be honest, where that game is concerned, the game isn't what's receiving the bad press. It essentially, like, it's what surrounds the game, and I feel from a advertiser standpoint, this is like they're probably looking at this as a good thing, because the name of the game is on everyone's lips in the and not just in the Harry Potter community circles, like in all gaming circles. People who don't game know about Hogwarts Legacy and I think they're probably going to see a massive, like, their projections for what they were going to sell. They're probably going to sell a lot more.
People will buy it just to hate on it. That's what people will do. They will buy it and go on, play 45 minutes so they can put a Steam review up and say game's trash, and then they'll go on to badmouth the author, which you should. But I wish that we can steer clear. You know, I don't. You know, it's cheap. What, you know, yeah. All I'd say is I wish you could separate one from the other. I do, but I don't know how you do that. And I don't know how they do that.
There is a certain sense of irony that a lot of the people tweeting about it are tweeting on phones that were made by like children in Chinese sweatshops. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, calm down with the sort of moral outrage. There's no ethics in capitalism. Yeah.
I think the only thing I will say is, and like I say, I'm not siding with any side. No. The one thing I will say, like, I don't like Harry Potter. I won't be playing the game because I don't like Harry Potter anyway. So it's never in my wheelhouse. It was never in my plans to play anyway. But one thing I will say is, like, where that's concerned, like, do like the people who consume Lord of the Rings, it was produced by a known rapist in Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. You know, you can look at so much thing that we consume, and people don't turn around and like say, well, you can't watch that anymore, you can't do that anymore. I think it's, you know, we have to tread very carefully, because we can't, like, we're all gonna fall foul to something, like watching, playing, reading, taking in some kind of media, like, that has links to oppression to a certain race, a certain group. You know, it's unfortunately, you can't live a totally I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Like, you can't, unless you live in a cave and you don't do anything.
You can't be sheltered.
You can't not do something that's going to offend someone or something. Or
I've always said you can't please 100% of people 100% of the time.
Yeah, the way I'm at with like Hogwarts is like she's pissed me off to the point where, do you know what, I genuinely wouldn't give her my money. I don't like the idea of it's not even the fact that it's the game. Like, I'm done spending money on the Harry Potter universe. Like, she's just a fucking knob. She's just my head in. But I would play the game if that makes sense. So, like, yeah, I wouldn't be happy funding it, but would I run round if I had a mate that just went, I've got this, I picked it up at CX, do you want a rip of it? Yeah, I'd run round as like a wizard, carding people left, right, and centre for a couple of hours. Hell yeah, I would. Do you know?
The universe is quite interesting. Unfortunately,
exactly.
it was turned out that it was wrote by a person who can't get off the first page. But we won't get into that. Let's move from one controversy straight into another controversy, which is, of course...
Yeah, we spent far too much time on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's move into the DC Universe controversy. That is the amount of people from the Snyderverse that are now hateful against the new Gunniverse. Now, my feeling...
That sounds awful. Can we not call it that? The Gunniverse. That
Gunniverse.
sounds terrible.
James Gunniverse. I don't know.
At least like Snyder's like kind of a cool sounding name, isn't it? The Snyderverse. That sounds kind of like, yeah, that's kind of edgy. The Gunniverse. It's just like, no, it sounds awful. I mean, like, you know, can't we think of something else? Come on, people.
All right, James-averse.
Oh my God, that's even worse. Oh dear.
DC Mark II.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now,
Game of the Year edition.
now this week, obviously, James announced James Gunn and what was the other guy's name? James Gunn and someone help me here.
I've got it here. Hang on. Peter Safran.
Peter
Peter Safran.
Right, so the James Gunn and Peter Safraniverse? No.
Peterverse.
Peterverse. I like the Peterverse. Sounds like he's about to become Spider-Man somewhere down the line. Get into it. So Peter Safran and James Gunn obviously have slated out what they want. Now, a couple of really interesting titles, I think, on there. Obviously, kicking off with Superman Legacy, I believe. Batman, Bold and the Brave, which is a very interesting story with Damian as Robin. I think you've got Supergirl. What's Supergirl?
Well, no, sorry.
Yeah, no, carry on, mate, carry on.
Oh, you're talking just the films, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, sorry.
Because everything.
It starts off with Creature Commandos, doesn't it? That's what's going to start off the whole. Yeah. So I've got the list here. Yeah, it starts off with Creature Commandos, then Waller, then it comes in with Superman Legacy.
Ah, right.
And then Lanterns.
Lanterns I'm looking forward to because that's going to be Green Lanterns. But
it's both, isn't it? They're talking about both Hal Gordon and John Stewart.
So that should be interesting. I'd like to see
Hal Jordan and John Stewart. Yeah.
But yeah, carry on, Joe. I just wanted to put that
No, like keep going through the list if you can, mate. We'll.
Okay. So then, Superman Lanterns, then the Authority.
Oh boy, howdy, so, boy! Rich, if you've never read the Authority, you don't know.
Well, give us a brief, Rich. Give us a brief. Just we'll interject on each one as we go down the list, so we can.
I've got stuff I can say about like a lot of fucking these. There's two in particular I want to have a spaz about. The Authority being one of them. So the Authority is almost like it came from. There was another comic label called Wildstorm that DC have now actually bought, and the Authority comes from that, and it's like the gritty version of the Justice League. So imagine the Justice League crossed with the boys. And you've got
Justice
something
League Dark was going to be more of a gritty version. Sorry,
can I just why you're talking about
Dark's magic?
Right.
Justice League Dark's magic, whereas the Authority's like, worlds and universe saving superheroes, whereas Justice League Dark's like the magic side, so, Madame Xandu, John Constantine and that sort of thing.
What was you going to say, TJ?
Sorry, I was just going to say, you mentioned Wildstorm. I've just got the synopsis up here. And apparently, the guy who run Wildstorm is now the head of DC Publishing, Jim Lee.
Jim Lee?
Yes,
Jim Lee, yeah.
Jim Lee's an artist, and he's an incredible
artist, and he obviously was, so that kind of, like, if he's going to be overseeing that as well, that can only bode well.
There's it had the first notable superhero power couple, gay power couple, in fact, in comics. The analogies for Superman and Batman were in a couple. It had some really interesting characters. So there was Jenny Smith, who channeled the power of the 21st century. There was a guy who could...
What exactly is the power of the 21st century?
Yeah, trust me, like, I'm not going to spoil stuff because you're in for some really wild shit, man. There was a guy who could literally hit people with the force of a city. It was crazy, man.
Jesus, well, that's...
Yeah.
On the size of the city, can you specify? Is it New York?
No, like any city he's in, he can basically like he channels like the cubic meters into force. So the bigger
right.
city he's in, if he's in New York, he could literally hit you to Mars. Do you know what I mean?
Christ.
Yeah.
Carry on, TJ.
I just wanted to go back just quickly, just so we keep abreast of what. So the Creature Commandos is going to be an animated series. That's the first one.
Right.
Waller is going to be a spin-off from Peacemaker.
So they'll be keeping that Waller then, won't they?
Yes, Viola Davis is returning as Waller. Superman Legacy is obviously a film.
Yeah.
Lanterns is going to be it looks like a TV series.
While we've mentioned Lanterns, then some stuff. Lantern in particular needs to be spoke about if we are going to interject on them. Jay will back me up on this. If they go this kind of route they could go, this could be the best thing that ever existed. Like, there's a 10-year run on Green Lantern that legitimately is one of the greatest works of fiction you will ever fucking come across.
Yes.
So
Jeff Johns' run.
What he said was the vision is very much in the vein of True Detective.
Yes. So that should be really good if you've ever watched any True Detective.
First season.
First season was
so the Authority then is obviously the movie. Paradise Lost, which is going to be a HBO Max series, Game of Thrones style drama. An all-female island, which is Wonder Woman's island.
I was going to say, I thought it was on about Dante's Inferno. Then hasn't that got Paradise?
Yeah, no.
Sorry, just tangenting off.
Then you've got The Brave and the Bold, which is the introduction of Batman. This is going to be interesting because we've got Damian Wayne. It's the first time we're ever going to see Damian Wayne as Robin, rather than it being in a movie.
It's so interesting that like I find the idea that they've called it The Brave and the Bold and they've got Damien is just such a weird juxtaposition, because The Brave and the Bold, I think I was saying this to Jay the other day, The Brave and the Bold's usually what the lighter end of the Batman spectrum sort of called. You know, the comic books that are more in line with like the sort of Adam West era Batman as opposed to the Frank Miller brooding Batman. But then so when I read the title, I'm like, oh, okay, because this is a different Batman to the Robert Pattinson's Batman. That's an Elseworld story now.
I think that's just to interject.
That's a genius idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's a great way of going. Look, you can keep some of the stuff that you're doing that's doing great. You know, call
it's a
that
multiverse.
Elseworlds.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. We're already setting up our multiverse. We're not waiting for Doctor Strange to rip open the portal into the world of it all. We're just going to go, look, if you read DC, you'll know this anyway, but if you don't read DC, understand that there is a whole other universe of Batman, Superman, Catwoman.
Yeah, so I was instantly like, oh, it's going to be a lighter end of the spectrum sort of Batman, and then it's like Damien in, well, there's no way, because he's a nutter.
Yeah.
What it says is the movie will take inspiration from the now classic Batman run written by Grant Morrison that introduced Batman to a son he never knew existed. It was obviously he was raised by the League, wasn't he? He was raised by the League.
Yeah, he was raised by Talia Red Ghul and trained by Deathstroke and then the League of Assassins. And he was trained by like the best in everything. So he was trained in Poisons by Cheshire. You know, he was trained in archery by Marilyn. Do you know, he was trained in like tactics by like Deathstroke. Do you know what I mean? So Damien's like fucking out of all the Robins, like each Robin's got their own sort of speciality. So Dick's the most naturally gifted leader and the best acrobat. Jason's he's the most streetwise and the toughest. Tim was the best detective by a country mile. Damien will just fuck you up. Like in terms of like martial arts skill, Damien pisses over. He's like in the top 10 in the DCU in terms of like pure martial arts skill, you know.
Yeah. So I'm going to play that Arkham Knights game a bit more because of all those characters.
So after The Brave and the Bold, we'll get the Batman sequel where Pattinson is continuing his role of the Dark Knight, once again directed by Matt Reeves.
Have we got any synopsis on that yet, who we might be going?
All it says that he's going to be in at least one more. And it will
I'm
be
hearing
released,
Freeze.
and it's being titled as the Batman Part 2. That's it.
Yeah,
I'd like to see
Yeah.
Freeze. I think if Freeze is done
I'm
well,
hearing Freeze.
and
Yeah,
I'm not talking Arnie Freeze, which was done well because it's Arnie, but that's good.
Batman animated series Freeze, man.
Yes,
Oh.
Batman animated series Freeze was great. In fact,
Yeah.
if you paid Batman, was it Arkham Origins? I think that Freeze arc was pretty good as well, wasn't it, Rich?
Yeah,
Arkham Origins definitely had a really good Freeze arc. I think it was DLC, if I remember correctly. Probably don't. But I'll be honest, after seeing Patterson in one, I'd like to see him probably do his own trilogy. I think totally.
I have what I was going to say, I'll come back because it will lead to a larger picture on James Gunn. So after the Batman sequel is Booster Gold, which will be a HBO Max series.
Oh man, I can't wait.
And a lesser known hero created in '86. It's about a loser from the future who uses technology to come back today and pretend to be a superhero. It's imposter syndrome as a superhero.
Yes,
That's how it's been described.
Booster Gold is the most unsung superhero in the history of existence because 99% of the time he's an absolute knob that does nothing but self-promote and fucking hands out flashy. But he has single-handedly saved the multiverse on about 7 different occasions.
Jesus.
Like, honestly, Booster, this could be fucking awesome. It's going to be funny as hell because it's going to link in very heavily with another DC film that's on the list because him and this hero are traditionally like best buddies.
Now, I was going to ask about that when we get there because I haven't heard anything about that since. In case you're wondering, it's Blue Beetle, isn't it, dude? Is that right?
Yes,
Blue Beetle. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
on
he
the
didn't
list?
mention that because Blue Beetle's not on the list, but actually, he did say Blue. Isn't Blue Beetle?
I thought they'd basically been filming that now.
I thought Blue Beetle, actually, yeah, he said this, but then, hang on a sec, I'm sure he mentioned Blue Beetle's, actually, now you've said that, as the first one that's coming out.
Because I'm sure
They've revamped the movie into projects where the writers' room has formed. So I mean, you've still got like Aquaman 2 and stuff to come out, haven't you? So maybe Blue Beetle is like, and the Flash film as well, actually saying that. Maybe they're not actually going to be part of this because they're already filmed, aren't they?
Yeah, now talking about Aquaman 2, I read that Aquaman 2 is actually going to end that universe and start this new one. So I don't know whether they're going to put some kind of end credits in there, which is going to end the universe.
Have the anti-monitor come in and fuck everything up?
I have actually just got something here.
Yeah.
Before audience, this is what he said. Before audience go to those films and series, however, there is the matter of this year's crop of movies, starting with Shazam, which comes out in March. Then The Flash in June, Blue Beetle in August, and Aquaman in December on Christmas Day. Don't release films on Christmas Day.
Dumb.
And I'm just wondering if they mention anything.
So I don't know whether they're going to do something in the end in Aquaman 2 to sort of end it, or they're just going to, that'll just be the end of it.
That's it. It's done. Well. We need to carry on because there's another film coming that I really need to talk about.
Supergirl.
Not that one.
Oh,
but
I'm interested in that one. Supergirl going to be like Guardian of the Galaxy.
Well, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, comes after Booster Gold, and they're going down the route of Superman got sent to Earth. She stayed on Krypton, saw everyone of the people she loved die, and she's a very much more hardcore and not the kind of like the girl next door Supergirl that we know.
Okay, I mean, rage driven.
It sounds like it could be that way.
Yeah, I heard that it was going to be very Guardian of the Galaxy, whereas she's in space, so she's dealing with.
Well, it sounds like this being an origin story, yeah, because it says for the first 14 years she obviously lived on a chip of a rock off Krypton, saw everyone around her die. So we're going to get that origin story. And then obviously she comes to Earth, so it's probably going to be 50-50, like her growing up to the age of 14, and then.
I know what we should have done while we were going through the list is sort of having a guess at lead character.
That's going to be a difficult one, actually, because
difficult.
Well, Supergirl's going to have about 7 different people, but who is going to end up being as main Supergirl by the end of the film? That's an interesting one.
And then you've got Superman. I mean, Rich,
Well,
Superman Legacy. How far is that into a Superman arc? I mean, I know you're not the biggest Superman guy.
Not hugely. It's not an origin story, but it's not. He's not comfortable.
It's not an origin story, is it?
No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
they've said we're not going to get to see any of the normal.
I'm so glad about that, though. I'm sick of fucking origin tales.
Yeah,
man.
if I remember correctly, Superman Legacy is almost like it's kind of like an existential crisis time in his life when he's struggling to reconcile the fact that actually he isn't a human, but he is a human. That's all he's ever known. So what is he? So I think it could be an interesting character study, man.
Okay, that's interesting.
Just going back on what Jay said, I 100% agree. And it's one of the things that I loved about Matt Reeves' The Batman that we didn't get for the 4,000th time. Yeah, like
origin. Yeah,
the alleyway scene where they come at you. Do you know what I mean? It's like we didn't get him as a child. I love the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but like. Why did we have to have that in there? Why did we then have to have that in the Ben Affleck Batman? We all know, and it's what I like what they did with Spider-Man over in the MCU. Like they didn't. It was just like, hey, I'll be bit by a spider. Yeah, boom. And it's like we didn't get 2 hours. 2 hours. We didn't get like half an hour of fluff that we all know.
Here's Peter Parker. He's a bit
how
of
can we retell a story that's been told 40 million times?
I've seen it 10 times already.
Exactly.
We don't need we know we don't need to re-see it. We don't need to to rewatch it. Just give us.
I'd prefer the cold open that you got. Remember in 1989 Batman, where it's just people robbing a person, and then the Batman just came in. And I'm Batman. And
but you still, I mean, you got the flashbacks, which was cool. And with that line, what was it? Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Jack Nicholson, classic line. But you don't need the. Like I say, that whole lead up. We know by now.
If I'm watching a film called The Batman, you better believe that I'm probably there because I love the Batman. And I already know his parents are dead. He's a moody bellend, but he's got billions and builds tech and then kicks the shit out of people in clown masks.
Can we please get to the last film on the list before I genuinely explode?
He's going to
cry. The last one I've got on this list is Swamp Thing.
Yes, that's the fucking one. Like, honest to goodness, I am. I'm really surprised by that because there was the show that was on DC, and the show was absolutely fucking sensational.
Yes, it really was.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, TJ, go back, find it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's balls to the wall because Swamp Thing's such a sort of undervalued DC character in terms of quality of story. Like, there's never been a bad Swamp Thing story arc. They all range from being some of the best comics you've ever read to like the best comics you've ever read sort of thing. They're fucking off the chain. And the show was great, and then the show got unceremoniously shit-canned. So I'm really fucking surprised that they're bringing him back, and the fact that they're bringing him back as like a big budget movie. And from what I'm hearing, it'll link into some future projects because I've heard there's like a Madame Xandu TV show coming and stuff as well. It looks like they do want to set up like a Justice League Dark film. So it sounds like they'll take the property seriously, and I can't wait to see what they do with the show was expensive. The show was 50 million or something like that and looked extraordinary. What's it going to look like with 100 million behind it?
It's true.
Was the series like a full horror, or was it?
It was very horror-esque. It was very horror-esque.
Because that's what they've said. This film is a horror film. Yeah. They've clearly stated this is a horror film. Which
Swamp Thing was kind of cool back in the day, and then Alan Moore released a comic in 1984. Like, Alan Moore's one of the greatest writers that ever fucking lived. Created Watchmen, V for Vendetta.
He's a moody bearded wizard.
He's a bit of a cantankerous old man, but like you can't deny his penmanship. But yeah, in this one issue, he twisted everything you thought you knew on the character on his head and turned him from a superhero into like an objective horror character. He's a lot more powerful than people think. Like, he is he humbled Batman in Gotham City. Like, he literally went and beat the shit out of Batman and threatened everybody in Gotham, and there was nothing Batman can do about it. Like, he's on that sort of level. You know, you can't punch him, you can't beat him.
No.
Like, the only sort of people that can beat him are, like, cosmic or world entities. Do you know what I mean?
He's the Green, man. He's the Green.
Yeah.
He'll sort him right out.
Yeah. Like at one point, there's like, I
the
won't
kind
get
of
into the
monster that
story
just rip
about
your
it.
arm off if you even pull a weed killer.
Yeah, he literally turns his body into a redwood tree, and we all know how big they are. Just walks into Gotham, kicking over buildings, and says, "Right, I'm fed up of your bullshit. If you don't do what you want, or the intestinal flora that grows inside of you, I will grow it out of you." Every single person living in the city, and the city just went, "All right, you get what you want." Because what am I going to do against that?
Exactly.
So what I'm hearing is the origin of The Last of Us was Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
He got pissed off.
Man, at one point, there's been like loads of Swamp Things throughout history. It's not a person; it's a title. And there's been loads of them throughout history, and they're that powerful. Various famines and stuff have been used to sort of show their power, because there's other, like, Swamp Thing's the representation and the power of, like, the flora of the universe. There's something, and it's called the green. There's something called the red, which is the same, but it's like the physical manifestation of, like, conscious life throughout the universe. There's like a fungus one. There actually is like a legit fungus one. There's various other ones. I don't know what the film's going to touch on, so I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah,
they haven't really given anything away. Like,
Yeah,
what's really interesting with Swamp Thing is all of the others have got like a 1 or 2 paragraph thing that he's gone over. Where Swamp Thing, you're just like, yeah, Swamp Thing is a horror film that we're going to close out the chapter with, and you're just like, oh, mystery. Like, we know nothing.
I think he knows well enough to know that just saying Swamp Thing is a horror that we're going to close out the chapter is enough for people to go, oh,
yeah.
salivate.
Well, it's weird because a lot of people genuinely know the name of the character, because I know he had a cartoon back in the day, he had some films, there was the show, so a lot of people know. But equally, a lot of people don't know, and they're gonna know, and I can't wait.
You're gonna learn.
Yeah, you're gonna learn today.
So the first thing you said on that list was the TV show Creature.
Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos.
Which is a 7 episode animated series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to see how TJ feels about Gunn taking over the DC as a whole, to be fair.
Yes.
Okay.
Because by the way, just to give you my flat out answer.
Yeah.
Yes. Great. By the way, this whole season of films is called Gods and Monsters, if I remember correctly.
Oh, Gods and Monsters is chapter 1, yes. I agree with Jay. I am for it. I think that finally I feel, and like, it was kind of met with a bit of trepidation after you see, like, Henry Cavill's gone, Gal Gadot's gone, you know, there's talk about Jason Momoa and bits and you're like, okay, I'm a little bit apprehensive now, because I feel like people were that they almost felt that they were promised Henry Cavill was Superman, like, because of what happened at the end of Black Adam and stuff, and then turn around and go, yeah, nah, we're not going to do that, and everyone's like got all like, oh, like, excited for Henry Cavill, and I was just like, oh, I'm a little bit, I don't know where he's going to go with this. But then after listening to him speak and like his plans, I am confident that they have a vision. I think he is someone who, like, I like his films, I like his style. I feel that he will bring something to the DCU. That I feel the DCU is so disjointed and has been for years. And like we spoke before, like, I have a massive love for the main characters, and they're my favorite characters, you know, especially Batman. And I feel the one thing that, say, Marvel has done so well, like with like the Russo brothers and that, and they've had like a vision, and they followed that vision. And anyone that's pulled, you know, a film off here and here, like even like with Sony owned the Spider-Man and the Venom, you know, IPs, it's like they've still managed to keep them, and and obviously work with Marvel and create them in a way that it keeps everything uniformed. It keeps everything. So everything's so easy with the MCU. It just flows. There's no there's nothing ever causes any ripples or waves that you can't explain later on down the line. It just feels like it's heading in a singular direction, and that's what they've done so well. And I feel that Gunn is going to bring that to the DCU. And I feel, like we said before, the characters that are in the DCU are so much stronger than. I don't mean in terms of like physical prowess or anything or abilities. I just mean like how they're like the characters, how they've been written, how they've been created. Like they've got so much more depth. They've got so much more about them, and so their films deserve like to have to be rounded out and completed in such a way that I feel he's going to be able to do. And I just feel that him at the helm. I don't really know too much about this Peter Safran, but I feel that they've got this vision, and I feel that finally we may actually get to see a long-term project fulfilled that's going to go in the right direction. I say all this, and the first thing's going to bomb and be an absolute shit show, and they're going to change everything. But I do have very, very high hopes and optimism for James Gunn. Yeah. And I got into an argument with someone on one of my streams this week when they turned around and said, "Oh yeah, look at what he done with Guardians. He just made it a comedy and everything." I was like, I think you're kind of like,
well, just to interject. Guardians was a nothing comic. Rich, am I right?
Nobody knew. Nobody Jay, I'll tell ya, I'm the guy all of the comic people come to speak to ask for stuff. Yeah. Because like I literally have fucking a comic library in my spare bedroom, and I barely knew. I couldn't tell you who all of the Guardians were. I knew Star-Lord because his costume is so different in the comics and so much better, but that's neither here nor there. Rocket Raccoon, a bit about Drax, and that was about it. They were far from fucking household names.
So
if you want to go into it, Iron Man wasn't a household name. Iron Man was a C-tier character before the films.
No, but he'd at least showed up in cartoons. You'd have seen Iron Man through the cartoon. Yeah. Whereas Guardians of the Galaxy...
I had no idea who they were before the film got released.
No one did. And then he took... Don't forget, this is what the actual talent of James Gunn is that he took these nobodies in comics and turned them into somebodies. Yes, it's comedy, but it worked, didn't it? Wasn't they some of the best of the Marvel films, for me personally?
The first Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best sort of fucking space operas in a long while. It was good fun, man. The second one, I did think it went to shit, but then I think James Gunn redeems himself with Brightburn, because Brightburn was an extraordinary film.
I haven't seen that. I do.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Brightburn, right? You say there. I haven't seen the whole film, but I've seen enough of it to know. And you kind of feel like that dark, gritty edginess. No, I'm not saying you can make like Brightburn's maybe a little bit too much, but like it was so well done that I'm like, that's the kind of thing that like, yeah, when someone just goes, "Oh, look, we done with Guardians," well, that's like something completely different. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't just take one. Yeah, you can't just take one piece of work. I mean, you can't just take one piece of work and like go. You can't typecast someone, is what I'm trying to say. Like just with and this is what I was going to come back to say when I mentioned about Robert Pattinson. I had this thing where I'm like, when they announced when they announced Robert Pattinson as the Batman, I was like, what a crock of shit.
Yes.
I was like, are you having water for elephants? Like in Twilight, shut up. Like someone needs to be fired. Matt Reeves has gone on a bender. Yeah. Like he has no idea what the hell is going on. How can you put Rob Pattinson?
Should have watched The Lighthouse.
Shut up. How wrong was I? Robert Pattinson was phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. I did the same thing with Daniel Craig as 007. Yep. When they got announced him as 007, I was like, oh, what? That is terrible. One of the best 007s I've ever seen.
Enjoying
Amazing.
your humble pie, are you? Enjoying it?
Yeah, exactly. I will happily eat the humble pie. I feel like with Daniel Craig going on to James Bond, I know it's off topic, but I'll bring it back. He took shit material and turned them into good films, because I don't think the story writing was very good for a couple of but he pulled it out of the bag as James Bond. He's what's made those films what they were, and I feel that I don't want to make that same mistake. I had that vision of Robert Pattinson is completely wrong. I'm not going to look at what James Gunn has done with Guardians and say that's what he's going to bring to the DCU. Because it's just not. If I go in with that attitude, I'm going to be proved wrong.
He appears to be a comic book fan, so I think he's going to go what he finds in the comic books. That's Rich.
I was going to say, I think, interestingly, considering I think TJ thought me and him would have very different opinions on this. No, actually, quite fucking similar. And I think if you look at the films James Gunn's actually done, you look at the first Guardians, which shows that he can do a sort of, a space sort of, and like Jay says, turn a Z-list group of characters into household fucking names. So check, you can do those sorts of comic book films. You've got Brightburn, which does super high concept Superman, really dark character study, Superman if you went wrong. So you can do that, almost Chronicle based. Check. You've got fucking The Last Suicide Squad, which I actually thought was infinitely better than the first one, which shows you can do your traditional sort of, superhero sort of heist team film. Check, you can do that. And then you've got, people forget that he did fucking Super as well, and Super was a really fucking out there sort of take on the superhero film.
The Rainn Wilson film.
Yeah.
I never knew he directed that. I love that film.
Yeah, so
he's not well enough to know who the director was.
Just didn't want it. Just didn't need credit.
Sorry, Rich. Carry on.
So he was. So he's got huge range. People think of superheroes as one genre of film. No, superheroes at this point are a fucking medium, and this guy has shown that he can do multiple genres within that medium. So I'm really pumped. I was really devastated about Henry Cavill because I thought he just looked perfect at the end of Black Adam. He had a brighter suit, he had the spit curl, it was great.
But don't you think,
however,
just to interject, Rich, don't you think with Elseworlds though, if absolutely
you could bring him back, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
He hasn't actually said that Henry Cavill will never play Superman again, has he?
Yeah, he just said
we're just going in a slightly different direction at this moment in time.
You could then use Henry Cavill in an Elseworld story for something like Kingdom Come, which would be the best fucking thing you've ever seen in your life.
And you can still cross it over.
Yeah. Completely off there. But it is in a way. Excuse me. I was one of the few people that understood when Disney got Star Wars and they just booted all the expanded universe, because that's a fucking minefield to try and work through, man. Yeah. So I completely understand that I'm going to separate everything that came before and I'm just going to go fresh. And as for the list of titles that are coming, good Lord, I wasn't expecting that. There's some absolutely fucking wild shit there, man. Swamp Thing getting a movie is just fucking insane. Authority, good Lord. I think that's going to be their way of trying to wash away the stain of Justice League sort of failures, because this is very much, if it's done well, you're gonna have a sort of Justice League power set, but you're going to have a sort of, it's very tonally going to be similar to something like The Boys, which is quite popular at the moment, isn't it?
Like I say,
fascinating. I think they've I can't wait. And Lanterns, you say Lanterns with the sort of storytelling and grit, I imagine, when you mentioned fucking True Detective in the same sort of thing. Good Lord, we could be onto something really special here.
One thing that I do like that he said is he's very keen for continuity. He turned around and said that obviously our plans down the line is to mix the animated with the live action. So there will be animated series that then translate into live action. But what they are going to do to keep the continuities, the voice actor, the people they hire to do the voice acting, will continue to be the actors when it goes into live action.
Oh, that's good.
Like, and I like that. Just simple little ideas like that. So, like, you know the voice, you get to know the voice, and then, you know, when it goes into the live action, there's no like, oh, he doesn't sound right, or he doesn't, you know, how he portrays this character is different, because they're going to portray how they portray the character in the animated series is exactly how they're going to portray it now in the live action, because it's the same person, and that I think that is a massive key thing to like for that. Like I say, that singular vision that I feel that he has got, I think is a great thing.
Yes, I definitely agree.
I'm really, really sorry because I basically haven't listened to a single word for about a minute because all my mind's trying to do is figure out who the fuck I want to play Hal and John in Green Lantern.
That's right. That's right.
And I don't
as long as Ryan Reynolds isn't involved, I'm happy.
No, do you know what? I actually, it's a shame because like I don't think he'd be too bad. I think he's Ryan, he's too talented at this point, but I think they miscast him as Hal. I think Ryan Reynolds would be perfect as a Guy Gardner Green Lantern. Like absolutely perfect, because Guy Gardner's a lot more cocksure, and I think he plays into Ryan Reynolds' sense of humour a little more.
Yeah, I mean, would Ryan Reynolds double dip? I suppose he would, wouldn't he? Playing a DC and a Marvel universe. Is he going to get any more Deadpool films after 3? In Marvel, do you reckon? Because I mean, 3 seems to be your magic number, really. You don't go past 3.
Yeah, but Deadpool's big business, man. Deadpool's big business, and Ryan fought for like fucking 10, 15 years to get that film made, man.
He's baby all day long. Okay. Let's play that little game then. Not with all of them, obviously, but Superman, Batman, and and let's go with Damian Wayne.
Now, I saw something for Damian Wayne just to go.
Who castings?
Yeah.
Just Superman, Batman, and Damian Wayne, because otherwise we'll be here all night.
So Damian
if we go
Wayne,
through all of them.
What I saw Damian Wayne was, I don't know if any of you have been watching the TV series The Karate Kid.
Yeah.
So the son of...
Johnny Lawrence's son.
Johnny Lawrence's son. Someone showed a made-up of him as Damian Wayne. And I thought, that ain't that bad, actually, when you think about it.
How old is Damian Wayne?
You what?
How old is Damian Wayne?
I expect they'd make him 16.
God, that's a fucking question because it's changed depending on which DC universe.
Okay, so they're a broad spectrum. They could go I
mean, he was 15, I think, when he first came.
20 or something like that.
Yeah.
I suppose it also that would. To do that, you've got to be then, you can't cast a young Batman and then have, he's your 18-year-old son. So you
got to choose your Batman middle-aged, really.
Real talk, he's probably going to be 14 to 16 because they're not going to want to show a fucking young child getting shot at. Do you know what I mean?
So you could effectively, the guy who plays Johnny Lawrence's son, I don't know his name, but I know who he's. So that he fits that age kind of bracket.
He would work it because he's trained a little bit in martial arts. He's already got sort of that Johnny Lawrence sort of attitude.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can see that.
Have to go a bit darker, to be honest. Though,
and he's going to be without a job because season 6 is the last.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it's going to work out.
Yeah.
But on that note, then, all right. So we talked about, you can give other mentions for Damian, but like obviously, as you said, that's going to affect your Batman. So we'll choose Batman and Damian in pairs. I'm going to go for that John Lawrence, which I don't know, but that would put his dad for me.
Oh well. The other thing is, so if he's 15,
because Bat's going to have to be about, I don't know, 35 to 45. No.
Yeah, 35, 40.
So go with. I'd say looking with the 40s, aren't you? So George Clooney's not making a comeback.
No.
No nipple Batman suit. Okay, fair enough.
Thank. So who is coming to that age range?
Do you know what? Right, it's all about the eyes with Batman. Yeah. Can we have Pedro?
Pedro.
Why not?
Hey, I'd take Pedro.
I don't know. That's such a tough one. Really? I'd rather it be somebody I don't really know that I don't associate from another role.
I mean, let's just face facts. We all know it's going to be Chris Pratt. So.
What, as Batman? What have you been smoking over there?
I'd set stuff on fire, man.
Mate.
So you say you
He's too busy. He's too busy doing Mario 6 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, then Superman. If we're saying Batman still, Superman. Because what it looks as though it's a Superman that's been here for a while. It says he's and he's
So again, like you're looking at 35, 40, and it's.
Well, I'd say you're probably looking a little bit younger than. Because obviously he's been listening to kids, but you're probably looking 30 to 35. Yeah. You're probably looking a little bit younger than what you would your Batman.
So who are you going to?
And someone who can put on a little bit of weight, musculature wise.
What about Will Poulter?
But then again, he's part of the MCU. How tied in to the MCU is he?
Well,
and I think he's too young looking. Well, I think he looks like he's about 25. So,
what's his name? He was in fucking Mad Max Fury Road. Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah.
Choice. I can't
does he look a bit too young? No, he would need to seriously work out.
Yeah, you'd have to.
I've no imagine.
Do you know who would make a great Batman?
Write it down.
Now you're talking about what's the name? He's probably too small as in height. Well, I don't know actually, for the role. But Tom Hardy would be Tom Hardy as Batman. Tom Hardy is Batman.
Go away. No.
I can see that.
Go away, CJ. I can see him as Wolverine. You know.
Who did I hear once for Wolverine now? Who was it? Shit, that's gone, that is. It's gone. I saw somebody maybe. It's hard because I can't even think of younger.
Yeah, I don't really casting things, man. I don't know. I'm fucking shite at them.
I'm just trying to think through. Who would I go?
Here's one though. I'll give you this, right? I was on about this.
I'll tell you what. Miles Teller as Batman. He's probably too young, actually.
What about that? Who's that bloke who played Elvis?
Austin Butler. Once again, I just wonder if he looks too young.
Listen, here's the thing, right? I was on about this to somebody the other day. I've got, because you have very distinct interpretations of the Joker, don't you? So if you're going to go down we were talking dream castings the other day. Yeah. So if you're going to go down your dark sort of adult sort of, Heath Ledger sort of role, particularly if you're going to do an older one, I'd love to see William Dafoe. I think he'd be extraordinary at it. Yeah. However, and here's a weird one, and people think this is really strange until you think about it a little, and I think this would be really fucking cool. If you were going to do one, say, sort of more towards, Cesar Romero's, Clown Prince of Crime Joker, could you imagine how good Sacha Baron Conan would be?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see him definitely playing the loon.
Good Lord, the manic energy that man would bring to that role would be like nothing else you've ever fucking seen, man.
Hasn't he just been cast in a Marvel film?
Andy Samberg's the Riddler. Sorry.
Andy Samberg.
Samberg's the Riddler.
I can see that.
Oh, no, I can't take him seriously in anything.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but that's why it'd be good for the Riddler.
But the Riddler's dangerous, man. The Riddler's not like the happy Joker thing. The Riddler's fucking dangerous, man.
Okay. Have you seen Lucifer?
I haven't seen
the TV show.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah.
I like Tom Ellis. I don't know where I'd put him.
Tom Ellis could play Batman or Superman.
Yeah.
I don't think
he's got that chiseled jaw. But then
I think I could maybe see him more towards Superman than Batman because I don't know. I don't know if he's got the acting range to pull off the brooding psychopath.
Okay, what about? See, it's so hard because I've just got up a list of actors. You go through them all, it's like he's in Marvel, he's in Marvel, he's in Marvel, he's in Marvel, he's in Marvel. It's like, for God's sake, stop doing Marvel films.
But I'm trying to think in the realms of James Gunn. So Michael Rooker's in that film. He's probably in all of the films. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy. See, you can't say he's not got the range because he is phenomenal in Peaky Blinders.
He is, but I don't know. I think there's potentially
it's just
better roles in the Batman universe for him than Batman.
Yeah, more than and I mean he's all you're re-dipping into that well, aren't you?
You gotta be
Because he was
careful with that.
Scarecrow, so
He'd be a better Ridley, you know.
I could see him as a Riddler.
yeah, actually,
I
yeah,
could see him
yeah,
as
that's a
Riddler.
very good, yeah.
He'd be a phenomenal Riddler.
Who else? Who else? Well,
See, if when you tell me actors, if you give me an actor, I can give you who they'd play.
Okay, so I've just gone actors in their 40s. Like, that's literally, and it's Ryan Reynolds, Leonardo DiCaprio. No, you can go away. John Cena, you can go away.
No.
Chris Evans, no. Momoa, no. Chris Pratt, no. Tom Hardy, no. Kevin Hart, no. Benedict Cumberbatch,
Kevin
no.
Hart's Batman would be amazing.
John Krasinski, no. Tom Hiddleston,
He's the same height as Damien.
Bradley Cooper, Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan?
He's Winter Soldier, isn't he?
Yeah, but like that's I don't know. I think
as what, Batman?
As Batman, maybe.
What about Rob Stark?
Rob Stark.
Yeah, the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
He was in the Bodyguard.
He was brilliant in the Bodyguard.
I was an extra in something with him, and I can't think of his name. Fuck! I saw him in real life. That's right.
Yeah.
What's his
him.
Name? What's his name?
He could be quite good.
Richard something.
Yeah.
Richard McAdam.
Yeah.
What I'd love to see an Elseworlds film where you had fucking Batman of the Future with Michael Keaton as the old cranky Bruce Wayne.
Oh, I tell you what, a name that I was just seen pop up that I have actually seen, like people saying. I've never seen Supernatural, but I know people have mentioned Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, I can see that.
As a Batman.
I've never watched Supernatural, but I know his name crops up quite a lot when talking about Superman. I've seen but I haven't seen the latest season of The Boys.
Okay.
Come all the way down.
Because doesn't he play like Soldier Boy or something, which is the worst name of a superhero ever?
You just got to see it. You got to see it.
Yeah, I know, but I've just had my names here. Like, let's send in Soldier Boy. I'm like, yeah.
We do a whole season on The Boys. Fucking great TV. Is anyone going to watch talking about The Boys? And while we're still in the superhero category, is anyone going to watch that Boys spin-off? What's it called? V-Gen or something like that.
Possibly, yeah.
Gen V.
Yeah, man, I'll give it a go. Fuck it, I'll give it a go. Like The Boys at this point, I'd argue that The Boys is the comic. The show's better than the comics at this point.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, the comics are.
The comics are good. The comics are great, and there is some mad shit in the comics I'd still quite like to see in this. But yeah, at this point, consistent. The Boys it's just the tits in it.
Yeah, I can't talk about a certain scene, but apparently they're going to be worse than that scene next season. Apparently,
really.
I
tell you what, right?
You know,
if he packed on some weight,
who's this?
But he's in 50 Shades of Grey. Jamie Dornan. I watched a series with him in where he's a serial killer. Okay. And it's got what's her name? Who was in the X-Files? It's gone.
Scully. You mean Scully?
Scully, yeah. Gillian Anderson. He was in a series called The Fall, and he was phenomenal in it. He'd need to put on some serious weight.
Who's that for?
Whoa. What about David Harbour?
As who?
As what, Batman?
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
He needs to lose a lot of weight.
You need to get in shape.
Well, no, hang on. They CGI'd him for Hellboy, so maybe they could do the same.
Yeah.
David Harbour could play a Batman, I think. I don't know, because again, he's Marvel. He's the Red Guardian in Marvel.
Yeah, true that.
It's hard. Honestly, it's hard to think of characters. I'm trying to think.
Ben Barnes.
Who?
The guy who played the bad guy in the Punisher series. I can't think of his name. Who had all the carved up face? Yeah. Jigsaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he was in.
Yeah, he did. He was really good in the first season of Westworld as well.
He was Westworld.
Yeah.
Who'd he playing? I could see him.
Soups. Man. How has this not been mentioned? Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Bats only though. Yeah. He can't be super.
Yeah, but Carl. Yeah, but when you think like, look how good his acting ranges was in The Mask.
Oh yeah,
Like just dread, amazing quality.
Yeah, he'd be extraordinary.
He'd be a good grizzled Bats, I think.
And I can't. Well, and that's the kind of thing I kind of.
Bruce Wayne though.
Yeah.
Well,
What about Josh Bernthal? I know he's the Punisher, but that's kind of been and done, isn't it?
John Byrne, yeah. Well, no, it's not though, is it? Because
apparently
they're bringing
coming back.
I would think he's coming back.
Daredevil is born again, but you know.
I mean, we're in fantasy land here anyway, so like I suppose we.
It's probably going to be someone we don't.
I mean,
like,
to be fair, Chris Evans as Superman, I always think would probably make a good Superman. But that's basing him off his Captain America.
Captain America. Yeah, I don't know. I'd always rather it be somebody I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know.
What about, and here's a face you haven't seen for a while, Michael Fassbender?
As who?
As Batman or Superman?
Yeah, as Batman.
I can see him more Supes. I could see him more Supes. Can't see him as Batman. But then again, I suppose if you'd have asked me ages ago, I'd never see, like we said about Patterson being Batman, so...
Yeah, sometimes that's the thing, and I think that's what you're kind of hoping for. You're kind of hoping for that out of left field, but it's just amazing.
Yeah. Trying to think of like really good actors that would fit that role, and I suppose the problem is without them being bulked up, you almost can't vision it.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads that I think have got the range, like Dan Stevens. Like, if you've ever seen him in The Guest,
right?
He is phenomenal, like at playing a very unhinged.
Dude, I've just googled him because I thought he was who I thought he was. Have you seen fucking Legion?
The film Legion.
No, there's a TV show called Legion, and it's basically an X-Men show. And he plays a guy, and it's honest to goodness some of the best acting you will ever fucking see in your life. That guy is fucking incredible. Like, he is so good.
And so you've always recommended Legion to me. I've never watched it, but isn't he the son of Dr. X, the Professor X?
Yeah, it's like he spent his whole life being told that he's actually batshit crazy, and then he finds out like he's got multiple personalities and all this, that, and the other, and then he finds out that he's actually the most powerful mutant that ever exists, and not just is he like more psychically powerful than Charles Xavier. You know, he can like rewrite matter and everything like that, and then not only on top of that, you actually then find out that no, he is actually batshit crazy as well.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's amazing. It's so good. Like, it's one of the most off-kilter sort of... Unless, if you weren't specifically told it was a superhero show and it was related to, like, X-Men, then you wouldn't fucking know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Extraordinary, yeah. He's a great... I don't know what I'd cast him as, just put him in there, because he's fucking great.
Yeah, he's got amazing range. Like I say, if you get, like, The Guest, it's a brilliant film. And he's
Abbey as well, I believe. My mum and my sister used to watch that.
Well, Superman.
It was also Beast in Beauty and the Beast. Just putting it out there.
Henry Cavill got picked from something like Downton Abbey, didn't he? No, Tudors. Wasn't Henry?
Yeah,
Tudors.
Tudors. Yeah.
And then he picked. I think they picked him up because of his acting in that. So again, it can be like something completely left field, really. When you think about it. And I haven't watched any of House of Dragons, so I couldn't tell you any of the young actors in that. Trying to think what I have watched really recently.
House of Dragon. What you got? Matt Smith in there, haven't you? But I don't know. He looks like a Matt Smith to me. Like, you could never have him as Superman or Batman because he's got the most distinctive looking face on the on the planet. So you'd be like, I know him. Have you ever seen there's the comedy skit? I think it was Jimmy Kimmel that he done. It was like, it's Batman. Hey, Superman. And like,
let me take a photo.
Josh Eisenberg saying, no. It's like, Superman. It's like it's so hilarious. But that's how I feel about people like Matt Smith. It's like we're so bloody obvious. Like you can't hide it.
There's no getting away from it.
There's no getting away from the fact, you know.
Right, I think that's probably everything. Unless there's something more you want to add, guys. Any more things you want to go on to before we shut this?
No,
shit down?
I think we're done. Yeah, surprisingly, the one topic me and TJ thought we were going to disagree on, we're in arms over.
Well, I didn't know your feelings about James Gunn, and like I say, we've been speaking about it in my streams this week, and people have been opposed to it more than I thought they would be.
No, shocking, to be honest.
And so that's the kind of I kind of felt like, well, maybe you feel the same kind of way. So
I think that we all.
Yeah, I've intentionally not spoke to yourself or Jay about it all week just for this conversation. Like, you know,
that's it. I'd say I think we all landed on the same page. That I think like someone with drive and direction and talent. I mean, he's not going to be directing every fucking
and
film.
a clear vision.
Yeah, that's what you need. That's what I think DC's always needed. And the problem was that in such a panicked rush to put together an Avengers-like situation, they sort of went, well, we'll just quickly put a couple of things out and then just do a Justice League and then try and clear up all the mess afterwards, which is
too many cooks.
Yeah, too many cooks. You know, I mean, like you got some half-decent films out there. I enjoyed the first Aquaman. I enjoyed Wonder Woman, the first one, and everything else, unfortunately, felt messy. And those were all the Snyder films. So I don't want anyone hating me because I don't hate Snyder. I don't know whether he is quite the director had his ducks in a line. Maybe if he'd worked a couple of films out first and then built up.
The problem with those films is they all made them as they were all designed as their own separate things and then tried to shoehorn together. Whereas like that's not how it works, man. You need to build them all together. That's why Marvel works.
Exactly, and that's why I think James Gunn's going to work because he's got a vision of where he wants and how he wants everything to interweave. Will things change? Obviously, that's the nature of anything. But I do think that he's going to go, right, here's where the starting point is. Here's where I want to end this first chapter. And while he's getting there, we're going, right, where are we moving from the end of this into the second chapter and what tales am I telling?
Yeah. Like you're obviously, he's not going to be directing everything. No. So obviously, but I feel that like, he's got this, a bit like Kevin Feige, like, this is the vision. Point A to point B is chapter 1. Yes, I'm giving you creative license, but we need to. This is where we're going, and you have to take us there with what you're doing. You know,
story's yours, but the end point remains the same. You've got to hit this stride. You have to hit this speed because we're building towards something. However you do it, you do what you got to do. So, I think that's what I mean. Has he learnt that from working for Marvel? Possibly. You know, he's seen how so to speak the sausage is made over there and gone, right, can I transfer this into a grittier medium over in the DCU? And instead of choosing what I was going to say earlier was instead of choosing your most obvious choices, yes, you've got to do Superman, yes, you've got to do Batman, but he's gone away from doing things like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, probably to put them in the second chapter. And then what he's doing is he's picking people like Swamp Thing, and as Rich said, building towards potentially a Justice League Dark. Yeah. So instead of just going down the same treaded route, he's doing what he did with Guardians and taking like the lesser known things and going, I can make you love these, and you don't even know who they are. And I think that's inspired.
Oh, yeah, you release stuff that has no pre-existing, because like all of the big ones that everybody knows, there's a preconception when new Batman film, well, there's been fucking half-dozen sensational Batman films, so I'm expecting something that's got to be goddamn sensational, whereas like the things, say, Guardians had, nobody, even the comic fans, nobody knew who the fuck they were, so no one was really expecting anything.
That's it. I mean, you've had to explain already what the authority is to us, because it's not something I've seen in any other medium, and I've not read the comics. So it's going to be something completely new. And the good thing about that is you do go into Batman and Superman with expectations. Rich has just stated.
Yeah, I'm naturally like one of the hardest people to please in terms of comic book medium, because it's like, you know, it's no surprise it's a huge love of mine, and like I like to think like I've got a decent well of knowledge like on the subject. But I'm really excited about this coming chapter. I can't wait to see.
That's what I'm saying. So I think we're up for some really, really good films. Will I be wrong? Time will tell. I assume that you're all on the same page with me.
Yeah.
So we're all
100%.
Fantastic. Right, guys. So that's been the opinions of the uninformed with me, Jay, or Firefly Zero. You can find me over on Twitch. And TJ?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitch as well. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 on a Monday and Wednesday, and 8 o'clock on a Friday.
And Rich?
Rich, live convoy on Instagram and literally everything.
That's it, guys. So thank you once again, everyone, for spending your time listening to us rabble about shit that we know nothing about. So we'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. I'm taking that crown from you. I ain't worried